There are so many people. I believe there are at least 2,000 people here. My name is Arpita and I work with Gaia Asia Pacific as their plastic policy officer. So we have upwards of, I think, 150 odd countries here at least. They're also observers. We are observers as civil society. In that sense, industry is also observers. That means we are all stakeholders to this process. Media and the likes are also here as observers, while we don't make statements and we don't sort of argue or negotiate in what goes in this treaty. We work with our member states, we provide technical expertise, we tell them what's actually good and what's not. But of course, eventually it is up to the member states to decide what elements or what provision, as they are officially called, for a draft goes in and not. Before we come to an INC, we have pages and pages of a document which becomes the basis of negotiation. So countries sit together and sort of go through each of those elements, and then somebody would say, yes, I agree. Somebody said, no, it needs to be deleted. Somebody says, I don't like how it's phrased, so they propose an alternative, right? See, eventually when a country comes here, they come with their interest. They all have their own interests. So for example, Pacific Islands, Fiji, Cook Islands, Solomon Islands come with the interest that they are very impacted. They are seeing the worst of it. All of our plastic waste ends up destroying their coastline, and they are seeing the real sort of first-hand impacts of on their health. And it's really a violation of human rights because they are not the top consumers. But then on the other hand, you have countries in West Asia who have big investments in petrochemicals, whose economies are run on the extraction and the pollution of our natural ecosystems. And so, of course, they do not want a strong treaty. They do not want a treaty at all. The fact that they have agreed to this mandate is surprise to a lot of us. But maybe that's something that countries do to demonstrate their support for UN processes. But as we are here, we are seeing a very, very concerted political move to organize among themselves, the countries who are not in favor of a strong treaty, and ensure that the treaty focuses on only the waste management aspects. And even their, waste management aspects have things like incineration, chemical recycling legitimized, recognized in this treaty as the right solutions, which is what we are fighting. They have the power to, behind the scenes, under the table means influence countries on their side. They have the power to provide investments. Because of their financial power, they also bring huge delegations. When I say delegations, means for one particular country, you'll have 20 or 25 people coming, and then from some countries, you only have one. So there is a real disparity in representation. And why that matters, let me explain that a little bit. When we get here, we organize in small groups, which are called as contact groups. These are informal groups. These are groups which are not live streamed publicly. And that's where you sit with a certain portion of the basic text and negotiate. And that's where the real positions come also out for these countries. And what happens is, if you have a large number of people coming from that country, they're able to divide and concur, right? But if you have only 2 people from your country, they can't be at 2 different places, and they can't do so many different meetings. And there are side events, there are informal meetings, there are bilateral meetings. So, it is eventually also a matter of human capability to do so much if you're alone. Also, if you're from a small country, especially if you look at African states and the likes, you do not have technical capacity. You do not have technical advisors sitting with you to guide you about the nuances and almost the political maneuvering that happens here. So a lot of that also needs to be taken care of, which is why we need a large civil society delegation to come here to support our member states and to kind of guide them about what really is going on beyond actual text in terms of maneuvering that often can be seen pretty visibly in these negotiating spaces. There are so many things you can do sitting at home, putting pressure on your governments, being out there on social media, especially young people, right? Young people have organized themselves, young people have made statements on the platform here. And I have to say, what happens between each INC, which is what we call as intersessional period is where a lot of the work actually lies. So understand what your country is saying, try to have a meeting with them, use the movement resources, Gaia, BFFP, CL, IPEN, take it to your governments, help them understand the process if they're struggling, help them understand why we need cuts in production and so on. So do that, sign the petitions that are coming out, sign the manifesto, be part of the protest. If not, create a protest, even if you can just gather a group of people and talk about why a treaty like this, which is a global stage, matters to you locally, the kind of trickle effect it will have. Do that. And we are here to support you with any resources, even if you need presentation with 5 slides. I'm available to help.